Ethan Bell had always been a dreamer. Born in a small Rust Belt town in Ohio, he grew up watching his father fix broken-down trucks and his mother work double shifts at a diner. Their lives were simple, honest, and filled with quiet struggle. From a young age, Ethan swore he wouldn't end up like them. He wanted more. By the time he turned 20, Ethan had left home with a duffel bag, a laptop, and $300 he'd saved from mowing lawns and fixing computers. He headed west, eventually landing in San Francisco with no connections, sleeping on a friend of a friend's couch, and doing gig work to survive. But Ethan was sharp, obsessed with tech and finance, and had a knack for seeing patterns where others saw chaos. He taught himself to code. He studied financial markets like religion. And after a few years of relentless hustle, he launched a startup that blended AI with predictive trading, EtherQuant. The app exploded. Investors came calling. Venture capital poured in. Within 3 years, Ethan had become a millionaire. 2 more, and he was on the cover of business magazines, hailed as a visionary. But with every zero added to his net worth, something else faded. Ethan's family had supported him, at first. His younger sister, Claire, used to send him long texts about her college life and ask about his company. His mother would call every Sunday. His father, proud but quiet, mailed him old newspaper clippings when EtherQuant made headlines. But Ethan had changed, slowly at first. Calls became texts, then texts became excuses, eventually nothing at all. He told himself they didn't understand his world, that he'd make time after the next funding round, or after the IPO, or after the acquisition star. He was building something monumental, something that would secure their futures and make them proud. But success has a hunger of its own, and Ethan kept feeding it. He missed Claire's graduation. He missed his father's retirement. When his mother was hospitalized for pneumonia, he sent a nurse but didn't board a plane. He justified it all with wire transfers and holiday gifts. First-class tickets they never used, a brand new truck for his dad, a $50,000 donation in his mother's name to the local library. But he never noticed how the thank you calls stopped coming. By age 34, Ethan was worth over $200 million. He lived in a penthouse with views that touched the clouds. He flew private, owned 3 properties, and had a reputation as a hard-nosed investor and an even harder friend. Relationships never lasted. Everyone wanted something from him, or so he believed. One rainy December evening, Ethan was at a rooftop party in Manhattan, surrounded by the elite. Champagne flowed, laughter echoed. A venture capital partner was asking Ethan about a $10 million co-investment when his phone buzzed. Message from Claire. Dad passed this morning. Heart attack. Mom's not doing well. The funeral's Saturday. Hope you'll come. He still kept your old baseball glove on his shelf. The words hit like a brick to the ribs. For a long moment, Ethan just stood there, frozen, holding a glass he no longer wanted. Ethan went back to Ohio for the funeral. The town hadn't changed. His childhood home still had peeling paint. The diner still served burnt coffee. The people there didn't care about AI or IPOs. He walked into the funeral home in a $5,000 suit, out of place and uncomfortable. Claire greeted him with a distant nod. His mother, thinner and grayer than he remembered, barely spoke. There were photos of his father, laughing, fixing trucks, holding a baby Ethan in his arms. He hadn't seen most of them before. When Ethan approached the casket, something inside him cracked. Not loudly, quietly, like a foundation settling, shifting in the dark. He realized he'd become everything he set out to be. Rich, powerful, admired, and utterly alone. That night, back in his old bedroom, he found the baseball glove. It still had his name written in faded Sharpie. He sat there for a long time, listening to the creak of the house, the rain on the roof. The reckoning. Ethan didn't sell his company. He didn't give away his wealth in some grand gesture. But something changed. He started calling his mother every Sunday, just like she used to. He visited Claire's kids, even coached his nephew's little league team. He started investing in small-town businesses, not for profit but for people. He stopped chasing the next big thing. Years later, in an interview, a young entrepreneur asked him what his biggest regret was. Ethan paused. Not the years I spent building. I'm proud of what I built. But the people I lost on the way. Those years don't come back. The entrepreneur nodded, scribbling notes. Ethan looked out the window. The skyline was beautiful, sharp, cold. But in his mind he saw a backyard baseball game. His dad's voice cheering from the porch. And for the first time in a long time he felt human again. Ethan Bell was 41 now. Still wealthy, still respected. But different. After his father's funeral, Ethan had made an intentional shift. He scaled back. He pulled out of the constant startup treadmill. He stopped attending tech summits and investor retreats. For the first time in his life he tried to be present, really present, for the people he'd once left behind. He spent more time in Ohio. He had bought his mother a small modern house just down the road from their old one, but she insisted on keeping the original. "Too many ghosts here to leave behind," she said with a half-smile. Ethan understood. He and Claire had rebuilt a tentative siblinghood, slow and raw. They never talked much about the lost years. Instead, they focused on the present. Her kids, her work as a school counselor, his newfound passion for mentoring young entrepreneurs from forgotten towns like theirs. Life had finally found a rhythm, until Silicon Valley came knocking again. The pitch came from a kid named Arjun Das, 24, brilliant, fearless. He had created a breakthrough in quantum encryption that could redefine global finance. He didn't just want funding. He wanted Ethan as a co-founder. "You know what it is to scale," Arjun said over coffee in New York. "You've built trust with investors. But more than that, you know what not to do. That kind of wisdom. We don't have time to learn it the hard way." Ethan was flattered and intrigued. He took the proposal back home, thinking it would be easy to say no. But something stirred. That old fire, the hunger to build, to dominate, to chase the impossible, hadn't died, had just gone quiet. He stayed up late that night, staring at the ceiling fan spinning above his bed in Ohio. Somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered, "You were meant for more." When he told Claire, she was silent. "I thought you were done with that world," she finally said. "I'm not going back to what I was," Ethan said. "I've learned. I can do this differently." Claire nodded, but something in her eyes dimmed. "Just make sure you don't learn the same lesson twice." His mother didn't say much when he told her. Just placed a hand on his cheek and said, "Don't forget where you come from." Ethan moved back to San Francisco. Not full-time but often enough. He rented an apartment downtown. Days blurred again. Whiteboards, pitch decks, late-night calls. Arjun's startup OrbiQ caught fire. Valuations soared. Major banks came calling. Investors praised Ethan's second act. Old friends welcomed him back like a king returning from exile. But as months passed, texts to Claire slowed again. His mom's calls sometimes went to voicemail. He missed his niece's birthday. The same niece who once asked him to teach her how to throw a curveball like Grandpa. He'd promised he would. He never did. He told himself it was temporary. Just a launch phase. Just one more push. But it never stopped at just one. One night, alone in his apartment, Ethan received a call from Claire. Mom had fallen. Stroke. She was in the ICU. He flew back immediately. At the hospital, Claire met him with tired eyes. "She asked for you," she said. "When she woke up after surgery. Before the pain meds kicked in. You weren't there." Ethan entered the room. His mother looked small in the bed, swallowed by tubes and monitors. Her eyes opened slowly when she saw him. "Hi, Ma." He smiled weakly. Still chasing gold. His throat caught. Trying not to. "You always said you'd build something that lasted," she whispered. "Don't forget, people last longer than money. Love. Longer than legacy." Those were her last clear words before she slipped into unconsciousness. She passed 3 days later.